The empowerment myth, why Black women's entrepreneurship is really about survival. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve. I'm your host, Leanne Dolce, pronounced Dole Say, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that emerged from a powerful conversation I had with Kiana Felton, a visionary who is reshaping how we think about work, worth, and what it truly means to thrive. Kiana is doing the sacred work of making the world better by challenging the narratives that keep Black women trapped in cycles of survival, by demanding equity where there has been erasure, and by amplifying voices that have been silenced for far too long. Today, I'm going to share the insights from our conversation that will fundamentally shift how you see entrepreneurship, ambition, and the systems that claim to support us, but often fail us entirely. Let me ask you something. When you hear about Black women starting businesses at record rates, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Empowerment, right? Ambition, girl boss energy. We celebrate it, we applaud it, we share the Instagram posts with the hashtags and the inspirational quotes. And don't get me wrong, there is power in that, there is beauty in that, there is resilience in that. But here's the truth that Kiana helped me see more clearly, the truth that we need to sit with, the truth that makes us uncomfortable. Most Black women are not choosing entrepreneurship because they woke up one day inspired by a vision board. They're choosing it because they've been pushed out, laid off, underpaid, overlooked, and undervalued so many times that starting their own business isn't a dream, it's a last resort. It's survival dressed up as ambition. It's necessity wrapped in the language of empowerment. Let that sit for a second. Shash, we've been sold a story that entrepreneurship is the ultimate freedom, the ultimate flex, the ultimate expression of self determination. And yes, it can be. But for Black women, especially those of us between 38 and 55 who have spent decades leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying entire communities on our backs, entrepreneurship is often not a choice born out of passion. It's a pivot born out of necessity. It's what happens when the systems that were supposed to protect us, promote us, pay us fairly, decide we're expendable. It's what happens when we realize that no matter how hard we work, no matter how many degrees we earn, no matter how many times we show up early and stay late, the system was never designed to reward us. It was designed to extract from us. Kiana shared research from the California Black Women's Collective Empowerment Institute that stopped me in my tracks. Over 300,000 Black women in California alone were laid off or pushed out of the workforce recently. 300,000. Let me say that again because I need you to feel the weight of that number. 300,000 Black women. These weren't women who lacked skills or education or experience. These were women in government, tech, healthcare, education, women with degrees, women with decades of expertise, women who showed up every single day and did the work, women who mentored others, women who led initiatives, women who carried the weight of entire departments on their shoulders. And still, they were let go. Still, they were deemed expendable. Still, they were told in so many words that they were not enough. And here's the kicker: 60% of those women reported experiencing workplace discrimination in the past year. 60%. That means more than half of these women weren't just dealing with job loss, they were dealing with hostile work environments, microaggressions, being passed over for promotions, being paid less than their white male counterparts who were doing the same job or less. The wage gap is real and it's crushing. Black women in California earn an average of $54,000 a year, while white men earn 90,000. That's not a gap. That's a chasm. That's not an oversight. That's systemic devaluation. So, what did these women do? 85% started searching for new jobs, 59% started businesses or began freelancing, 52% switched industries entirely, 30% went back to school to retrain, to upskill, to prove once again that they were worthy of the opportunities they had already earned. 30% took breaks because they were burned out, exhausted, depleted, and needed to breathe. These women didn't give up. They adapted, they pivoted, they became resourceful, they became entrepreneurs. But let's be clear, this wasn't a glamorous reinvention. This wasn't a TED Talk moment where everything clicked into place and the universe aligned. This was survival. This was women doing what Black women have always done, finding a way when there is no way, creating something out of nothing, turning pain into purpose. And this isn't just happening in California. This is a national crisis. This is happening in every state, in every city, in every industry. Let me tell you about Penny Houston. Penny is a Black woman with 25 years of professional experience and multiple advanced degrees. She was laid off. And despite her qualifications, despite her experience, despite everything she brought to the table, she couldn't find new employment. She applied to job after job. She networked. She reached out. She did everything right and still nothing. She sold personal assets. She dipped into her retirement savings, the money she had worked decades to build. She leaned on peer support networks just to survive, just to keep the lights on, just to keep going. And her story isn't unique. It's the story of thousands of Black women across this country right now. Women who did everything they were told to do, who played by the rules, who worked twice as hard for half the recognition, and who are now being left behind. But here's what Penny did that was so powerful, so transformative, so deeply necessary. She didn't just survive in silence, she mobilized. She helped organize job fairs by and for Black women, creating pathways to employment and entrepreneurship that the traditional systems refused to provide. She turned her pain into purpose. She turned survival into something sacred. She turned her personal crisis into a collective call to action. And that's what Black women do. We don't just endure, we transform, we build, we create, we make a way. Even when the world tells us we're not enough, even when the systems fail us, even when we're exhausted and depleted and barely holding on, we still find a way to lift others up. Now, let's talk about what happens when Black women do start businesses, because the challenges don't stop there. The barriers don't magically disappear. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that fewer than 10% of entrepreneurs are Black, and Black owned firms face a 20% higher failure rate than white owned firms. 20%. Why? Because of lack of access to capital, because of discrimination in lending and investment, because of persistent wealth gaps, because of limited networks, because the system is rigged and yet Black women are still out here building, still out here thriving, still out here proving that resilience is our superpower, that innovation is in our DNA, that we can create magic with scraps. And get this, female founded VC backed startups have a higher exit rate, 19.4%, than the percentage of women run VC backed startups. That means when Black women get the resources, when we get the support, when we get the capital, when we get the same access that our white male counterparts get without question, we don't just survive, we excel. We outperform. We win. We create companies that change industries. We build businesses that transform communities. We generate wealth that uplifts generations. But the problem is, we're not getting the resources. We're not getting the support. We're not getting the capital. We're being forced to bootstrap, to hustle harder, to do more with less, to prove ourselves over and over again. And then we're blamed when we can't keep up. We're told we're not ready, we're not qualified, we're not a good fit, when the truth is the system was never designed to let us in. So here's the question I want you to sit with, the question that should make you uncomfortable, the question that should challenge everything you thought you knew. How are you learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival? Because that's what this is really about. Black women have been conditioned to be strong, to be resilient, to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders without complaint. We've been taught that asking for help is weakness, that resting is laziness, that saying no is selfish, that prioritizing ourselves is indulgent. And so we keep going, we keep grinding, we keep pushing, we keep showing up, we keep carrying until our bodies break, until our spirits break, until we can't anymore, until we're forced to stop. Not because we chose to, but because we have no other choice. And that's when we're forced to pivot. That's when entrepreneurship becomes the only option. Not because we wanted it, but because we needed it. Not because we were chasing a dream, but because we were running from a nightmare. Not because we were inspired, but because we were desperate. But here's the shift I want to offer you today. What if we stop celebrating Black women's entrepreneurship as empowerment and started calling it what it really is, a response to systemic failure, a reclaiming of agency in a system that consistently undervalues our labor and our contributions, a radical act of self preservation in a world that was never designed to protect us? What if we stopped putting the burden on Black women to be resilient and started putting the burden on the systems to be equitable? What if we stopped asking Black women to adapt and started demanding that institutions change? What if we stopped praising Black women for surviving and started creating conditions where we could thrive? Because the truth is, Black women shouldn't have to start businesses out of necessity. We should be able to start businesses out of passion, out of vision, out of choice, out of joy. We should be able to work in environments where we're paid fairly, promoted justly, and treated with respect. We should be able to rest without guilt. We should be able to say no without apology. We should be able to be soft without being seen as weak. We should be able to choose ourselves without explanation. And that's what the soft girl era is all about. It's about releasing the cape. It's about redefining strength. It's about embracing softness as a radical act of self love. It's about healing in real time. It's about protecting peace as a practice. It's about turning survival into something sacred. It's about building a life that feels good, not just a life that looks good. It's about choosing rest over hustle. It's about choosing boundaries over burnout. It's about choosing you. So here's my call to action for you today. And I want you to really hear me. If you're a leader, an ally, an entrepreneur, someone with influence, someone with power, someone with resources, I want you to ask yourself this question: how can you use your influence to dismantle the barriers that force Black women to choose entrepreneurship out of necessity? How can you help build a future where Black women's talent and ambition are truly valued and supported? How can you create spaces where Black women don't have to be strong all the time, where we can be soft, where we can rest, where we can thrive, not just survive? What policies can you change? What doors can you open? What capital can you deploy? What systems can you disrupt? What narratives can you challenge? Because this isn't just about Black women. This is about all of us. This is about building a world that values humanity over productivity, that prioritizes equity over extraction, that celebrates rest as much as it celebrates resilience. And if you're a Black woman listening to this right now, I want you to hear me when I say this. You are not required to carry the weight of the world. You are not required to be strong all the time. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose softness. You are allowed to release the cape. You are allowed to prioritize yourself. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to build a life that feels good, not just a life that looks good. You are allowed to choose you without guilt, without apology, without explanation. This is your permission slip. This is your invitation. This is your soft girl era, and it starts right now. Not when you have more money, not when you have more time, not when everything is perfect. Right now, in this moment, you get to choose you. You get to choose softness. You get to choose rest. You get to choose joy. You get to choose freedom. And you get to do it unapologetically. The world will try to tell you that your worth is tied to your productivity. The world will try to convince you that rest is a luxury you can't afford. The world will try to make you believe that choosing yourself is selfish. But I'm here to tell you that the world is wrong. Your worth is inherent. Your rest is necessary. Your choice to prioritize yourself is revolutionary. And your softness is your power. So I'm asking you today, right now, to make a choice. Will you continue to carry the weight of systems that were never designed to support you? Or will you release the cape, reclaim your softness, and build a life rooted in joy, rest, and freedom? The choice is yours. And whatever you choose, know this: you are worthy, you are enough, and you deserve every bit of the peace, joy, and freedom you've been working so hard to earn. Thank you